Hello, everyone. My name is Melissa Vargas. I'm a program specialist for the Environmental Justice Program at Catholic Charities in Stockton. And today, for this year's Earth Day, I want to talk a little bit about the benefits of visiting your local state park, but also touching on the nature gap. There are many benefits to state and national parks. First, they're great for our environment. They help regulate the local climate, they reduce air pollution, some help to store water and control flooding. Secondly, they're great for our overall health. Parks provide the opportunity to maintain our physical health by moving our bodies and getting some exercise in. They're also great for our mental health. Numerous studies have shown that spending time in green spaces naturally reduces stress and anxiety. With everything going on in our lives, from the daily stressors of balancing work, home, and family, and especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, spending time outdoors in nature can help restore our mind and soul from all of the things that might cause us to feel drained or fatigued. While there are many different benefits to visiting a state park or a neighborhood park, there is a huge divide and disparity among access to these spaces for low-income families and communities of color. This is what scholars would refer to as the nature gap. Access to parks varies among race and income, and researchers have found that green spaces are predominantly located in white and affluent communities. Meanwhile, Black communities experience a great physical distance to these spaces. This is an environmental justice issue, and it's an example of environmental racism. There are many reasons why these structures exist, and one of them alludes to residential segregation, zoning, and redlining, which are all practices of the separation of communities of color from white people and white neighborhoods. Essentially, these practices have long been used to protect white people from interacting with Black people or other people of color. So, as neighborhoods were racially segregated, opportunities and resources were distributed unevenly and were mostly allocated to those white neighborhoods. This caused communities of color to be relegated to neighborhoods with very limited resources, while white neighborhoods had more opportunities and more resources, such as safer streets, better schools, and of course, more parks and green spaces. Over time, these practices have reinforced an unconscious idea that parks and green spaces are only for wealthier white people. This is why people of color are less likely to visit national and state parks. In addition to barriers of access, people of color often feel uncomfortable when visiting parks due to discrimination and implicit bias. Nature is supposed to be a place of sanctuary and healing, but state parks are often unwelcoming and unsafe spaces for Black families and communities of color. Entrance fees also act as a barrier to state parks for low-income families. In order to have the ultimate experience in nature, it's advised to have the proper gear, which is usually very expensive and out of reach for many families. Financial constraints, coupled with racial hostility, such as feeling unsafe or unwelcome, pose significant challenges for communities of color and further discourages them from participating in outdoor activities altogether. I believe that access to nature is a human right and there should be equitable access to green spaces for all communities. Let us know in the comments below what you feel might be some possible solutions or action steps to address the issue of environmental racism and the lack of access to green spaces for communities of color. As a mom, it's also important for me to expose my son to nature so that he can later appreciate all that our earth does for us. Stay tuned for a look at my family's recent trip to the Calaveras Big Trees State Park.